Welcome to another Indie Dev Showcase, highlighting the many indie games we play here on the channel. If you'd like to submit a game for a future video, please reach out. But otherwise, let's begin. We are starting things off this week with Declined Drops. This is a 2D action brawler that takes place in a very beautifully hand-drawn world. And the footage you're seeing is taken from the demo and may not represent the current version of the demo or the game. When our garden is in danger, we decide to go and explore the world to figure out what is causing this problem. And we're going to use the power of platforming and lots of punching in order to do that. The general gameplay itself is a mix of a 2D action game with the jumping and movement tech of a platformer. You can perform different kinds of punches, dodges, heavy attacks, and more, and you'll need to use them to explore the world looking for all manner of collectibles, bonuses, and more. The structure of this game reminds me a lot of any one of our solid Nintendo games, in that the main path through a level is going to be on the easy side. But if you want to collect it all and get everything this game has in store, you're going to do some exploring and again, lots of punching. In terms of the combat itself, it felt good to fight. You'll use a combination again of punching, dodging, blocking, and more to deal with the myriad of enemies. I would say combined, the game would be maybe moderate to moderately challenging. And this is not counting going for 100%, which I'm sure will be even more of a challenge for you. Now, even with the fact that we are playing a demo of this, I think there's definitely something here for fans of platforming, and by the time we were finished, I really wanted to see more what this game had in store, and again, especially to see like where things are going to go in terms of increased complexity and depth. So if you like your platformers on the charming side but with a lot of combat, then definitely check this one out. We are continuing with some really great aesthetics with Beacon Pines. This is quite literally a choose your own adventure kind of story / adventure. We play as Luca, a boy in a village where everything is all happy and wonderful, but something strange is going on in the local warehouse. We're going to investigate with our friends and try and see where the story goes. The entire narrative and framing device is you quite literally reading a book. At major decision points, you'll decide how Luca spends their time or their decision. This will affect the story going forward, and as you go down each one of the game's different paths, you'll be able to kind of go into different branches and then pop out and try something else if you want to see the entire story. There are little mini adventures and side quests to find, and this game is built on you kind of replaying stories or different branches with new knowledge or trying different routes and seeing where it all goes. The aesthetic, like I said, is fantastic, but the main issue with this game is that despite the kind of choose your own adventure style, it doesn't really give you a lot of malleability in the story. Because you're going down these specific routes, the game is not as freeform as you may think, and there is kind of like the main true story or true ending that you'll have to see everything to get. So if you're looking for kind of a story that has complete malleability, Beacon Pines is not that. But this game is certainly enjoyable, and again, with the lovingly aesthetic to it, definitely will at least carry you through to see where it all leads. We move from something very happy and peaceful to very violent, with No Place For Bravery. This is an action RPG Souls-like, where our child is kidnapped by a strange force. In order to get them back, we are going to have to rip, tear, and slay our way across the land. The game itself is built heavily on its 2D combat. You'll have to manage your stamina and health as you try and make your way from checkpoint to checkpoint, while enemies will come at you from all sides. As you'll play, you'll acquire different weapons and the means of kind of breaking enemies' stagger in order to deliver finishing blows. The footage you are seeing is played on the highest difficulty, and at that level, archers are some of the most deadly snipers I think anywhere in any game. I like the visual design, the aesthetics of it. My main issue that I had with the game is that it felt a little too repetitive in terms of just the general combat. Because it is so much focus on kind of stamina breaking, parrying, and that kind of thing, once you get it down, there really isn't too much else the game is going to do to challenge you in that respect. But it is still going to be on the harder side, especially if you're playing on the higher difficulties. All in all, we played this one all the way to the first kind of quote-unquote boss fight, and I just wasn't seeing enough interesting aspects to really dive more into this game. But if you are someone looking for a very violent and very challenging action game, then I would at least give this one a check and see if it will work for you. We now turn to the demo for Fortune's Run. This is a first-person shooter heavily inspired by the likes of Deus Ex, EYE, Cybermancy, and is looking to be a very high potential game from what we played. We play as a bounty hunter on the mysterious station Fortune's Run, when we are going to get into missions, try and figure out what's going on, and stay one step ahead of all the enemies that are out to get us. While this game certainly has a retro look to it, the content and combat is anything but. You'll gain access to guns, use your sword, various tools, and the levels are set up to be very wide to explore. Your sword will allow you to parry shots, and this is a game where everyone, including yourself, is very vulnerable to damage, or get electrocuted, as you just saw right there. The levels are designed to allow for multiple routes, and you'll use these to either get the advantage over on your enemies, skip entire sections, or find a myriad of secrets. From what we played of this one, there is certainly a lot to Fortune's Run. I would also suggest making sure to remember to hit that quick save button, as the game does not do that for you. And this one is going to be a very challenging and very involved FPS. Now, when we played the demo, we only had a chance to see the first level of it, but the game boasts a lot of content and a lot of challenges. And by the time you're watching this video, it should be getting close to being released for 2023. So if you are looking for a very interesting FPS to play and one that's going to challenge you both with combat and exploration, I highly recommend checking this one out. We now turn to Squad 51 versus the Flying Saucers. This is a shoot 'em up that is built around the aesthetic of a 1950s kind of pulp sci-fi film, using live action and a lot of old-timey looking saucers. It is up to you to lead your squad to save the Earth from the invading aliens, and you will do that one mission at a time. I really do love this kind of look to the game, and the FMV really does give it a different feel compared to some other games we've played. Now, the shoot 'em up side of things is a little bit interesting. You have kind of an arcade mode and a quote-unquote story/campaign where you'll use the money or score you get from each mission to upgrade your ship, giving you more maneuverability, more damage, health, and so on and so forth. Now, with that said, the aesthetics unfortunately do get in the way when it comes to visibility. Because everything has that noir black and white look to it, it makes it very hard to keep an eye out on what is coming at you, where bullets are, and especially when you're fighting enemies in environments that are already on the darker side, and trying to see what is trying to hit you. As another issue we ran into in the kind of campaign mode, the game doesn't feel like it's properly balanced at the start. The problem is that as you get further in, bullet patterns and just the escalation of enemies becomes so great that it becomes almost impossible for your ship with its default stats to be able to actually dodge these attacks. And there were many cases where it just felt like I was just set up to just get stomped. And even if I knew the bullets and the attacks were coming, I couldn't move fast enough to get out of the way. And in the kind of campaign mode, you run out of lives and you get sent all the way back to the first mission. And the game, with this kind of progression, felt like you need to get maneuverability and you need high damage as quickly as possible in order to keep your score up, which will let you buy more stuff, which will let you get more upgrades and let you survive more and that kind of thing. And it's unfortunate that with the aesthetic, the shmup side doesn't really go as far as I would have liked. There isn't a lot of differing enemy patterns or designs, and most of the challenge is just going to be you kind of fighting the readability of the game. If you're looking for something with a very unique aesthetic to it and you don't mind the basic shmupping, I would at least give this one a check. But if you're hoping for as much of an interesting gameplay as with the look of this game, then I'm afraid it's not quite there. For the last game of our video, this is the demo for Turbo Kid, a extreme Metroidvania. It is the post-apocalypse, and we're going to have to explore the wasteland using our blaster and radical BMX skills in order to save ourselves and maybe try and make things better for everyone. The hook of this game is that you are, well, using the powers of your bike as the Metroidvania aspect. While you can go around on foot, you can summon your bicycle at any time and use that to ride up walls, ramps, and do tricks as you try and survive and explore each area looking for upgrades and so on. The game definitely has a unique look and feel to it, and we really haven't seen a Metroidvania go extreme BMX before Turbo Kid. The main issue that I have with the demo is that the bike is controlled using simulated physics, and it can feel a little awkward in places when you're trying to do very small or micro adjustments to avoid attacks and so on. And when we got to the kind of boss fight, it was a little weird trying to aim and hit the various things while trying to dodge everything along the way. And I am curious about how things will go in terms of additional upgrades and tech in the finished game. I would love to know they will somehow implement a in-universe explanation for double jumping on a bicycle. But this game is certainly looking to be very different and have a lot of charm to it. And if you're looking for a Metroidvania that certainly doesn't handle like anything else we've seen before, then I definitely recommend checking out Turbo Kid. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you examine the art and science of games.